Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing out there?
Good morning.
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 Good morning.
Oh, we're alive today. We are alive. I love it. I love it. Who wants to share some positivity? Who's got something good going on in their world? Amber.
So I held that open house this weekend, and it wasn't as busy as I thought it would be. A lot of people have been posting about that, but we did get 3 offers, and one of the offers is exactly what my clients wanted as far as price. Unfortunately, sorry, that was my ring camera. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to appraise. There is an appraisal gap, but looking at the other offers, that would probably put them in the best situation because you never know with appraisal. But no matter how busy or unbusy the open house is, we had about, I think, 12 groups through in 2 days, maybe 13. It only takes one offer.
So we haven't had this conversation too much. I've always been obviously a fan of open houses. When you are looking to pick up clients, there's nobody closer to the finish line typically than the person who has left their computer screen and started to spend their Sundays looking at properties, right? So you can collect all the online leads in the world that you want. To me, the best lead has always been an open house lead. So, but for a while, I felt like the mantra was that, yeah, well, you can do it and there's people there, but they've all got representation. With all the new NAR settlement stuff, I'm just curious, Amber, if you got a feel for representation at that open house.
Every single person that came through except for one had an agent listed. If it was blank, then we don't consider. So actually, sorry, 2 people. There were 2 people. One of them specifically said no agent. The other one just left it blank. So first day, I was alone, so didn't have the time to do this. Second day, I had someone helping. So I went through all the ones from the first day. Thanks for coming to open house. I put that our offer deadline was the following day, or that day, Sunday, at 7. And to reach out with any questions or have your agent, and I put the agent's name, reach out. I also texted all the agents. So second day, all the leads went to the person who was helping me. There was one unrepresented, the rest were represented, but I told her to do the exact same thing. I showed her how I did it. So we did get one more offer from that reach out.
Cool. I mean, do you think you'll pick up any of those unrepresented or no agents, or do you have any feel for that piece?
I did give one of them, obviously the last day I did give it to the other person and explain the importance. She's brand new. The one that I got from the first day, elderly gentleman, they're looking to downsize. They have a house to sell, but they're not quite there yet. So I will be following up with them to let them know that we accepted an offer, but I'd be willing to, go over and, offer them my services. So we'll see how that goes. He did ask on day 1, you're going to be here tomorrow, because he was going to try to come back with his wife, but he never made it.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, a couple of things that you said there, and hopefully I remember them all. Number one, it's tough to do these with one person, right? It is very difficult to sign everybody in, get all the paperwork to them, make sure they have all the information, and have some time to build rapport, right? So whenever possible, try and do your open houses with 2 people. It just makes it so much easier to try and build the rapport and pick up those clients that don't have representation. Number 2, this is an interview. When you guys are doing your open houses, they need to be extravagant. They need to be mega open houses because it's an interview, right? That client that's unrepresented has a house to sell. And if they walked in there and felt like, hey, I've been into some other open houses and this one stands out, I want you to be my listing agent, right? That's the importance of doing mega open houses, is because it's an interview. Putting 1 or 2 signs out versus putting 10 signs out is a difference to the people that are attending, right? Having some food, having some music, having professional materials, spend the extra time, nail down your mega open house process, because it's an interview. And there's nothing better than picking up that open house client that not only wants to be a buyer, but they want to now list their house with you. So we just double-sided something potentially. So just pay attention to how important the little details are, and you're not just running out there and doing an open house. Lauren, what did you have?
So Amber had said that one of the parties that came through unrepresented, given to the agent that was helping her, then moved forward with placing the offer. I think us as list agents and as a brokerage and as a company would be really smart to see if that client and that offer was not the winning one, to potentially give our agent and that client opportunity to match what's best.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we can work with the agent that we want to work with, that we think is going to be a better chance of getting to this deal to the finish line, that's what we want to do, right? That's part of being a collaborative agent, to being a great co-broke, is that you hope that you get the nod on the next opportunity. Right? Maybe you didn't get this one, but you were professional, you were easy to work with, you were responsive. And the next time when it's neck and neck, I might just call you and say, hey, look, you got a great offer on the table here. The other one's like, it's just as good, but it's $5,000 higher, right? Can you get your client to $5,000 more? Those are the phone calls that you want to get. Ideally, we want to be working the listing agent so that we're trying to get that last step back, so that we're asking for that last phone call. But when you don't have the, if you already have the rapport, you might just get that just out of courtesy. Who else has got some feedback on the open house process, or anything that Amber kind of tossed out there? I'm just seeing in the comments here, Christina had put that she was considering just making a specific open house playlist on Spotify that then I'm assuming you can share. I don't know exactly how Spotify works, but there's a difference, guys, between walking in and there's no food, there's no music, there's no balloons, there's not 10 open house signs, and then the open house that has all of that stuff. And it might take you an extra 30 minutes. And once you've got your process nailed, it's that much easier for the next one. KB.
Yeah, this is something that I wanted to talk about this morning.
I've definitely had buyers come into my open houses and say, oh.
Go ahead, Sarah. Go ahead. Mine was a thought. Yours is more.
I was just going to say, I've definitely had buyers come into my open houses and say that their agent didn't do that. So definitely makes a difference to make a nice little show.
100%. 100%.
That's it.
I actually, one, I have a story, and then two, I have an opinion. So I'll tell my story first. So the very first time I was introduced to Rovithis Realty at the time was through a mega open house. So this was in a market where actually we're kind of similar to, I think, what we're going to, where it's just a little bit more balanced, right? There's not sellers that are putting houses on the market and they're just flying off the shelf at open houses. This was a market where you as an agent really were hosting open houses to hopefully get more buyers and sellers out of the open house, not necessarily to sell the house. Like, houses didn't move at an open house. And I had been an agent for, I guess at this time it was probably about 4 or 5 years. And I pull up to the open house with my clients, and there's a line of cars down the road, which for you guys is normal, but then it was not a normal thing for me to see. And we get out, and my clients and I are like, what the heck is going on here? And I'm like, I have absolutely no idea. So we wait in line to get into the open house. We get to the front door. There was an agent that was signing us in when we got to the front door. We walked inside. Steve was standing there. He was actually handing out little information on the open house and directing us to like the food. The music was pumping. There was 2 or 3 agents walking around inside with him. And it completely blew me out of the water. I was like, this is very strange. I've never seen this before. And then when I came to Rovi, I learned that this was what a mega open house was. And I learned that there's a lot more than just the production that goes on, right? There's processes before and after to make sure you're following up appropriately to make sure that this open house works. But I will tell you that 1, it works for consumers, and 2, even other agents are like, what the hell, right? Because it's not necessarily like a normal thing. So it is an extra piece that you really need to learn and perfect to make it worth your while. That being said, I think that because we are moving into a more balanced market, a lot of the agents that have been doing business for the past few years are not used to the fact that we really need to make sure that we're pricing homes appropriately. Because if you guys are putting houses on the market and the houses are too high, even just a smidge, you're not going to get the people through the open house that you want to get through the open house. So we really need to focus on pricing, using that pricing progression training that's in there, and making sure that you're at market value or even a little bit under. Because one of the things that Adam used to say all the time is that a house is never going to sell for less than what it's worth. Why? Because the buyers are going to pay what a buyer feels like the property is worth, but they're definitely not going to overpay, right? So don't be afraid of pricing it $5,000 or $10,000 below market value, because that's just going to bring more people in, because they're going to see it as an opportunity to possibly get a deal. And then when there's all of those people that are coming together, they're going to bid up, and there's a good chance you're going to get market value or more. Right. So like, I think that that's the big thing that's going on right now, is that we really need to make sure that when we're pricing properties, we are pricing them at fair market value, regardless of whether the seller wants them to go higher or not, because it's just not the market that we're in.
About, I would love for somebody to explain why our strategy, because I want to see if we know why is our strategy, we come to market on a Thursday, we have no private showings and no showings until an open house on Sunday. Why do we do that? Amber.
To get more people at the open house to create that bidding war.
Right. Can you go into more detail? Why does it work?
Because it comes on Thursday, everybody's looking at it. Agents are saying, oh, that, I have a perfect buyer for that. They're reaching out to their buyers. Buyers are looking on Zillow, seeing the property, and either reaching out to us, or they are reaching out to their agent and saying, hey, I really want to see this property. I had at least 4 or 5, hey, my client's coming to the open house, yada, yada, yada. So we're just creating a buzz online prior. Most people say, oh, we can't make it this weekend. Can I see it? Unfortunately, no. Go in showing time and make it for the weekend or whatever. But more people that show up to the open house, it creates in people's mind, like, this is a hot property, I have to have it, especially if it's in their price range, etc.
Yeah, I'll go through the psychology just a little bit more on it. So number one, it does help with your seller for not having to get the property ready 18 times. If you've got a property that's priced well for 18 private showings, that's a nightmare. Get all the kids' stuff cleaned up, get the dog cleaned up, get the yard cleaned up, get the basement cleaned up, get the kids' rooms cleaned up. Like, it's a nightmare for a seller to have to do that 18 times. Right? So we've got to explain to our seller, this is a benefit to you. But here's the psychology on it. If we have, let's say, 10 potential buyers on this new house we just brought to market, and we scheduled 10 private showings we bring the house to market on Tuesday, we get 10 private showings from Tuesday to Friday, and we call for highest and best on Saturday. So 10 groups of buyers have gone through that house by themselves with their agent. And now we've got a couple of people that are interested. And I call that listing agent. I said, yeah, we got a lot of interest in this property. Can your people do any higher? Now, those buyers walked through that house with their agent. They didn't feel that there was a lot of interest in the property. The difference is, if those same 10 buyers all came to an open house on Sunday between 12 and 2, and all of them saw the other 9 buyers that are interested, and now I call that listing agent or that buyer's agent and I say, hey, man, we got a lot of interest in this property. And the response is, yeah, my buyers know, they were at the open house. Do you think that that buyer might go a little bit higher with that mentality? Right? That's the psychology behind it. When you see a house private with your agent, you don't feel how much actual interest there is. You go to an open house that you waited in line to get in, you know there's a lot of interest in that property. Jeff and Linda, you guys had your hand up.
Oh, well, that was before you gave your explanation. Yeah, just creating a true fear of missing out is what it's designed to do ultimately.
And so a lot of times I think, we probably have some processes in place and we don't explain the why we're doing certain things. Why are we doing a Megan open house? Because it's an interview. Why are we delaying all the showings till Sunday? Right? Because it's pain for the seller to get the house ready. And we want that buyer to really feel how much interest there is. Lauren.
We see this all the time around us. Some really good examples, like thinking to relate to real life. You wouldn't just want to have a Stanley Cup to have a Stanley Cup. But when you see everybody else has the Stanley water bottles, you want the Stanley water bottle. You want the Lululemon crossbody because you see everybody else has it. Like FOMO is a real thing in our society, and being able to create that for our clients.
Absolutely. You know, Mark, like a true agent should be really, really a good agent should be really good at negotiation, and they should be really good at marketing. That's the difference between the average agent and the best, right? They all can fill out the forms, but can they negotiate? Do they know and understand leverage and when they have it and when they don't for a negotiation? And can they actually market a property? Can they get that buzz going? Right? Did they go knock on all the doors, right? Another reason why you're knocking on all the neighbors' doors is, yeah, you'd love to get a listing, but if you could get a couple of those neighbors to show up, if we only had 3 real buyers, right? Based on the price that we came on or the current market, there were 3 real buyers in the market and they all came to the open house on Sunday. Well, if you could also have attracted 5 neighbors, do the 3 real buyers know that those were neighbors and not actual buyers? So we just increased the buying pool from 3 interested parties to 8 interested parties. So when we say go knock on the, at least 20 doors around there and get those people to come to that open house, there's a lot of reasons why we're doing and asking you guys to do these extra steps. Right? It's in your benefit. Hopefully you can get another listing. You're going to see it if you haven't seen it already. Listing sign goes up in a neighborhood. Within a week or 2, another property is coming to market in that neighborhood. It seems to happen every single time. Who else has got something on this? Just paying attention to the details as this starts to become an industry where we need pros, a market where we need pros, and it's not just list it and it sells. These are the little things. I just seen Jen. I don't know if Megan has answered your question here. I didn't have time to read all the messages. Did you want to throw your question out here, or if you're trying to talk, Jen, you're muted.
Sorry, I was just reading the message. Okay, so it sounds like, so my question was, when you get a Title V, would they require the septic tank to be pumped if it hasn't been pumped in a while? And then how long it's good for? And well, that's my first question. I'm just sorry. I'm just reading.
So my understanding. So you're just asking when you have the buyer, or when you have the seller, or you're just asking in general.
In general.
What's your exact scenario?
Yeah, in general, mostly
Right.
like for the seller, because I just didn't know if they required it, because we had a septic or a Title V, passing Title V, and they asked when was it pumped last, and so that's why I was just wondering. I was just thinking to myself, well, would they require it if it needed it? Thinking with the septic company.
I don't know. I didn't read through Megan's answer, but I don't believe pumping is a requirement of the Title V inspection, right? So if they inspect it and it passes, I don't think they're necessarily asking or requiring, or hey, it hasn't been pumped in the last 3 years. Now I do know. I believe it's if it hasn't been pumped, the Title V is good for 2 years, and if it has, it's good for 3. I think that is a thing. I don't know if anybody wants to just talk to this a little bit more.
Yeah, so when you get your Title V, it's good for 2 years. If you pump it every single year from the year you get it, it's good for 3. So if you pump it 3 years in a row, then it's good for those 3 years.
And it looks like Megan is just saying, Jen, if you were on the buy side and you wanted it to be pumped, then just put it in there, because I don't know that. Basically, I think it can pass without it being pumped.
Yes. that's
Megan, I don't know
correct.
if you're in a position to talk. Okay.
So when the inspector comes out to do the Title V, he'll typically ask the sellers a series of questions. And one of those is, like how many people are living here? Are they living here full time? And when is the last time it was pumped? And then if the seller's like, oh, I haven't pumped it in 6 years, most likely part of the Title V, he may make a recommendation that it be pumped. So what I've seen it on Title V's where it says it's a recommendation to be pumped. And if I hadn't read that report, from my buyer's perspective, I wouldn't have known that was a recommendation. So that, in my case, ended up being an inspection ask. Like, hey, this says it needs to be pumped, please pump it. A lot of cases, sellers will see that and be like, okay, yeah, I'll just do it. But in some cases, it gets missed. So yeah, if you, I know, Jen, you kind of asked a couple fold question. So on the buy side, I always like to have that Title V paperwork available so I can read it, because even if it passes and the system is like in general from like the 70s, at some point during the new buyer's ownership of the property, it may need to be replaced. So it's just something for your buyers to know about, if that makes sense.
And I'm just clarifying that you had a passing Title V, so they got the
Yes.
pass with just a recommendation on there that it probably should be pumped at this point.
Yeah, so it was right on the Title V paperwork. Like, for example, this was a case where the owners had passed and the kids were selling it. The kids didn't know when the parents had pumped it last. So on the Title V paperwork itself, it said that recommendation that it be pumped. So we saw that, and then we asked that the sellers get it pumped, and they did. It wasn't a problem.
Christina.
I have something that's not related to the Title V. So if anybody else doesn't have anything else to say, I can chat.
Kevin.
I do have a question about Title V, actually. So
Let's do it.
So I have a buyer buying a home in Massachusetts, and the house has a brand new septic system installed. The house is vacant. The septic's never been used. It's brand new. The bank is requesting a Title V report. However, since the system is brand new, the Board of Health has issued a certificate of compliance, saying that the septic system was installed per code, inspected, tested, signed off on, good to go. However, in the certificate of compliance, it says, the verbiage on there says, this is not a guarantee that the system is working as it should, basically. And the bank is saying that's not acceptable to us. We need to know if it's actually working. And myself and the listing agent have been trying to figure out what exactly the bank is looking for, because there's no full Title V report because it's a brand new system. And according to what I'm hearing, the standard procedure on a new system is they install it, then you get the certificate of compliance, and that's it. So I'm really not sure what the bank is looking for here. Anybody dealt with this before?
Meg, you're a resident new construction with septic.
So honestly, that you're correct. Basically, by saying getting that certificate of compliance, that's typically all the bank needs. I honestly have never noticed that any of our certificate of compliances say anything with regards to if it doesn't work or it's not a guarantee that it's working properly. So I'm not sure if that's just something specific to this particular town's Board of Health that they added that language. But I can see why that would be a problem from a bank's perspective. I just don't know where or if they would like amend it to just remove that language, because I don't know.
Yep.
Never seen that.
We tried to get them to strike that verbiage, but they won't. They won't take it out of there. And from what they're telling us, it's standard. This is standard procedure. And I think this lender is also from Texas, so maybe they're not familiar with how things work here. But we're getting down to where the closing is this week, and I'm really not sure what else they want me to provide. So I'm just kind of concerned that this is going to really hold things up.
Will the installation company provide anything like some kind of warranty or,
Nope.
once the system is up and running?
Nope, they won't. And they honestly said this is highly unusual.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this before. I don't know what else the bank would be looking for besides this.
So Kevin, I think you got two options. One is you're going to have to get a Title V if that's what this Texas bank is going to want, right? So let's see if we can line somebody up and at least schedule one for now to hopefully at least minimally delay, or try and make a call to somebody higher up at this lending institution, get past the LO, get to a manager and see if you can get this, get them to talk. Hey, look, this is common in Massachusetts. Do you have somebody else that, could approve this? Those are my thoughts. KB?
Is there a local branch for this lender or bank? Because I think you said it was a bank. Is it something that's all over the country?
So it's USAA Bank. I'm not sure.
So
yeah.
I would maybe see if there's somewhere that's local, and I would try to call a local branch. Well, you can swap lenders like Caroline is saying. If they want to close within the next 2 weeks, you could probably get that done with Semper. But also, I mean, if you call a local branch, and this is something that, this sounds very strange to me too. So it's maybe that you can talk to someone higher up at a local branch that understands the way we do things out here, and they'll be able to communicate with them as well. Maybe that's what I would possibly try if they're not looking to switch lenders.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Just don't take the word of the LO, Kev. You got to go higher up.
Oh yeah. I'm not taking the word for it. We're trying to get this. It's kind of vital that we close on the 12th. They're selling their house. The buyer that's buying their house is also selling their house. So it's if this can't close on the 12th, it's going to be a mess.
Sue, did you have something?
Yes. So if the home is bank owned and they know nothing about the septic.
Hold on, Sue. This is still on the whole septic thing, or is it regarding
the
kind
septic,
of bank?
the septic. So the bank doesn't know anything about the septic, and the house is priced well. And they said that the buyer would need to do the Title V. Now, if that Title V fails, it's all up to the buyer to fix all this, correct?
Yeah, bank owns, the seller's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
So those can get a little dicey. I have seen, where you do a rehab loan on something like that, where a septic that's failed, or you're going to end up with a cash buyer.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Amber, did you have something on that as well?
Yeah, my last listing when she purchased it, it was bank owned, and it said as is, blah blah blah. They went and did Title V. It failed, and the bank did replace what needed to be replaced. It's not often, but it can happen. So don't necessarily give up on it, but yeah, they did fix what needed to be fixed.
Awesome. Great share. I've never heard that. So you never know, right? Ask, and find out. So great point. All right, Christina, let's try and get to your question and then we'll wrap it up with that one.
I have something that I kind of want to bring to everyone's attention because it's recently happened to me and I'm still going through it. So, I'm representing a seller on a multifamily that she purchased years and years ago. Prior to her, it was purchased as a multifamily and sold as a multifamily. Prior to them, it was purchased and sold as a multifamily. And we have run into this situation now where actually the buyer's agent looked in to see if it was a legal two-family. And back in 1959, there was a permit pulled to convert it, and that permit was denied. So, nothing, I just don't know if there was like any other way other than physically calling the town and seeing if it is a legal two-family. Like we would have known because GIS said it was a two-family, the tax assessor's office said it was a two-family, public record, everything. But when we call the building department, pretty much the building department trumps everything. So if they don't have it on record as a legal two-family, then nothing else matters. So now, you know, we had to have the building department come out, reassess the property, and now what would have been an as-is sale with this buyer and this, you know, the buyer's agent has now turned into like a $13,000 seller needs to bring the house to code situation because now the building department came out. So all that to say, I think it's I think a lot of the times we do our due diligence like as best as we can. And I honestly, as I don't blame the buyer's agent because they were just doing their due diligence. I mean, it opened up an ugly can of worms, but we're working through it. And luckily I have a seller that's flexible and doing her best to like accommodate, you know, all of this because she wants to sell her house. But yeah, this thing has not it's been listed as a 2-family bought and sold for years. And it hasn't been. So just to kind of put that on everyone's radar, like if you're ever representing a seller that has a 2-family, like maybe we have to dig deeper than just public record and, you know, the tax assessor's office and GIS and all that.
Yep, absolutely. It's building department and tax assessor together. So I've seen it the other way where the tax overrides building department. So building department has it as a 3-family, tax assessor has it as a 2, and they're not going to let it go as a 3. So we got to get both of those departments on board, whether it's a 2, a 3, a 4, a 10, whatever units it is. We've got to make sure both of those departments are on board. With how many legal units we have. So thanks for bringing that one up, Christina. Awesome chatter today on Monday morning to get us started. I hope you guys have a great start to the week, and we will get back after it tomorrow morning. Take care.
Thanks, Steve. Have a great day.
Have a good one.
Thank you.